Today's episode is sponsored by Sandals Resorts. What's up, Chillas? Today we're with Michelle Fernioli, who is the owner of Michelle Elaine Weddings, and we're talking about, are weddings really that expensive? Are they getting too expensive? And how can we dissect and navigate through all this? And Michelle, so excited to have you with us today. It's been a few months in the making, I feel like, at this point, trying to coordinate and getting this going. And I love the topic today and the talking points we've been working through in that. I think it's going to be a lot of great information for couples out there planning right now.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about all the things. I'm honest to a fault, so hopefully this helps some. This might stress others, but it's all good.
Well, something that does, is obviously a stressor when it comes to wedding planning is the cost. And the cost is rising like everything else with inflation and tariffs, etc. But I want to know for you, what does it mean too much when it comes to, are we doing too much in wedding planning and are we spending too much?
I have two sides. So one side of me is the grandma inside of me that's you don't have to do all of the TikTok viral, whatever stuff, unless you want to. So I don't ever want to speak badly of content creators because I think that they're the best thing. I think it's amazing that couples can get content after their wedding. It's also helpful for planners because myself and my team, we used to be the content creators for the couple and we'd be the ones sending the content. And it's very stressful when you're trying to do everything else. So I think that they're great. I just think sometimes people take that part of their wedding too far. This may not have anything to do with cost, but this is just you don't need to stop every 5 seconds to do a little dance for TikTok. You're not getting married for social media. You're getting married because you love each other. But this isn't to say don't do those things. Just sometimes it's overkill. And I think couples look back and they're like, oh, I wish I was in the moment more. I wish that I would have just sat and taken it all in. And I felt like I was just busy constantly. And I'm that's what you don't want to have.
Because you're busy just with the basics of the day, not even counting all these little extras now, right? And you saying this, there was a recent article, I want to say it was in brides.com, but it was this TikTok influencer just got married. And I guess her now husband is a part of it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And she's in the bushes watching her guests arrive and she live TikTok the entire day.
And it's if that's what if that made her happy and brought her joy, then I want you to do that. If you're my bride or my groom, I want you to do those things. But if at the end, because that's what then you we kind of collect all of our data. So at the end, if I have two couples that were similar and at the end they're I did too much. I wish I would have been more in the moment. That was a lot. Then as I get more younger couples, Gen Z, all of that stuff, I try to explain to them listen, I want you to look back and feel this is the one and only time you're having all of these people in the same room. Yeah. You don't want to constantly be pulled to make a reel or make a TikTok. It's okay to do a little bit because that's what you want to do and you want this content and whatever. But it shouldn't run your wedding shouldn't become a production, and let alone a production just for social media. I think people are doing too much for social media. I don't even think it's the cost.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So that has to do with it. So that's where cost comes in because then people feel oh, well, I have to do this and I have to spend money on that.
The 3 or 4 dress changes.
Right. Oh, I saw my friend did this. And so I have to do that. I have had so many conversations with brides where I'm holding their hands, talking them off the ledge. I'm this is your day. This isn't your friend's day. This isn't your cousin's day. This isn't your mom's day, your grandma. What do you want? It's the scene in The Notebook.
Yes.
What do you want? Stop worrying about everybody else. And this is another reason why people have planners, because we're bringing them back down to earth and still be in the bushes making your TikTok if that's what brings you joy. But I'm going to help bring you back to earth if that's not really what you want to do and you're just doing it because you're well, my followers, blah, blah. Who cares about them? Literally. So
no, I'm so glad that we're talking about this because I do think, especially as the generations are getting younger that are getting older, if that makes any sense. As an old
Yeah.
millennial, our generation like started social media, right? Zuckerberg and
Yeah.
all them, like they created
Scary.
Facebook, MySpace, right? But the generations now that are heavily getting married, that, you know, those of you in your 20s and early 30s, you know nothing but social media, you know? So
Right.
I can see where it can be so easy to get completely sucked in to wanting to kind of, we talk about on here all the time about how it affects you in planning, right? You're always on Pinterest, you're always on Instagram, you're seeing these multi-million-dollar weddings and things that like are way out of your budget. But on the other hand, yeah, like the TikTok trends and, you know, for a while there, people were like cutting their hair halfway through, but it's like you're taking time away from your now spouse and your family for what? For like a
Right.
40-second dopamine hit on TikTok?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, if that was your dream vision and all of a sudden it's a trend now, don't not do it
Right.
because you're going to feel like, oh, it looks like I'm following, but like that's what you wanted to do. But on the other hand, if you are just doing it because you're like, oh, this is cool, this might make me go viral, that's the wrong reason to do something, the completely wrong reason.
Yeah. When is the wow factor no longer worth it? Because you talk about the wow factor, and that there is a thing to it, right? You want, especially if you want to have high impact on low budget. But at what point is it like no longer wow and now it's just annoying?
I think even not the annoying part. I think like if something, I always go back to like what's going to make you happy. And wedding planning isn't happy the whole time. Like that's why planners exist because planning a wedding is a lot of stress. But if you're getting to a point where this particular thing that you're adding to your day is giving you so much anxiety and so much stress, it's not necessary then. Like, why even bother have it? The other side of things is like there are certain wow factors that require a lot of money and support. So if you have this vision to have like this crazy entertainment or performer or something, the performer doesn't just show up and do their thing and then leave. There's all behind the scenes things that need to happen in order to prep and get that person in their zone and food and their own green room and hair and makeup and their outfit changes. Like they're their own thing. So like maybe you saw a 5-second thing on social media and you're like, oh my God, I want to have this singer or this whatever at my event. You have to think of all the other added costs and then don't try to do something like on your own budget. Don't think like, oh, well, my cousin sings, so she can do it. Like, please, God, don't, because it's going to be a disaster and it's going to be a regret. And it just, if the wow factor is going to exponentially take you out of your budget, it's not worth it at the end of the day. I don't think. If you can't afford it, just the wow factor is you, the two of you getting married. Like, stop trying to do so much to like, that's it. The wedding is the two of you.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to do all these other things? Like blow off cannons and confetti and fireworks, blah, blah, blah. Like you don't even need it. You don't even need it. You're the moment. You're it. Like focus on that, especially if you don't have the money to spend, because then you're going to drive yourself nuts. Oh, my wedding's going to suck. Oh, I don't have the money like this person has or that person has. Stop doing that stuff. Stop doing it to yourself. You're amazing. The two of you together are amazing. That's it. That's my rant.
Love it. Reach, Michelle. But actually with that, you saying, you know, drive yourself nuts and everything, let's talk about the financial and emotional toll of the wedding debt, because it impacts you and your partner for a long time if you're going way over budget.
So I'm going to use a friend of a friend because I've never actually had this happen with any of my couples. But this person took out a loan to cover costs for their wedding, and they were divorced before the loan was paid off. Don't take out a loan to pay for your wedding. Just don't do it. It is not, and I understand, like when I got married, we didn't spend a lot of money because I'm in the industry. So of course I had discounts and I had people offering to do things for me. But like it was a eye-opening moment when I'm looking, and this is almost 10 years ago, but even still,
Yeah.
It was like an eye-opening moment of like, oh my God, there's so many things that you need, which I know, but now it's like my money. And I'm sitting there like, okay, well, this, like the lounge that I spent at the last second, which back then I only spent $1,000. Like I shouldn't even be saying that. It was so cheap. And I got a discount, whatever.
But again, this was 10 years ago.
But I didn't have that 1,000 to spend, but I was like, oh, okay, let me just spend the 1,000 and then I'm just gonna have to cut somewhere else. So this is like when I sit with my couples with much larger budgets and a different conversation, you know, I approach them with the same thing. But going back, like you don't want to take out some like exorbitant, if you're putting like a couple things on a credit card and you're like, we can pay this off at the end of the year, fine.
Because you can get points and you can utilize it. If you
And that's
do
what
it
I
smart.
did also.
Yeah.
I got my points for my $1,000 lounge area. But there are people that will take out down payments for a home. And I'm like, should you be doing that? And this isn't to say like everyone's going to end up divorced and whatever, but like, just don't do it. Just don't take a loan out for your wedding. Just don't do it. That's it. That's the advice.
When I got married, we spent, I thought I was doing a good job, but things added up. I didn't have a planner till the last minute because then I had a meltdown and hired one. So they went through the whole process. So I already spent more money than I should have, right? And so we did have quite a bit to pay off. And we got divorced after 2.5 years. And so that got divvied up in the divorce.
Oh my God. See, okay. Didn't even know
So let me tell you. And so as anyone listens to the show, I'm happily, living with, my love, Dave. And he's been through the process before too. They had the bigger wedding also. So
wow.
we kind of learned from that to like, we don't have to have super exorbitant because we've been through it before, but it is a thing. Like, you don't think you're going to get divorced. You don't think you'll become widowed. You don't know what could happen in the future, unfortunately.
No,
but
of course.
Just spend that money wisely. Like, with the lounge, was it utilized? Yeah.
The lounge was utilized.
Okay.
We took our pictures. It's some of my favorite pictures still of just like us being like, look how fabulous we are.
So it was worth it.
I still don't regret it 10 years later.
And that's the thing. You have to think about where that money is going to go because, again, we preach on here like favors. Only do it if it's edible because you're going to waste your money. It's going to be left behind, right?
Yeah. Or do something that like people will actually use. Like there was a couple that I had and they handmade candles for their guests to take home.
Wow.
And I was like, holy crap, that is admirable because it was like 100 guests. So they made like divvying up between like singles and couples, they made like 80 candles. That's
some DIY project right there.
Yes. But this was like something that they liked to do, or it was very them. Like it was, and I'll take a candle. I'll take a candle any day.
And it's a fun date night thing to do when you're wedding planning.
That too. Yes. But like these, monogrammed, like I got like a monogrammed glass and just one, although my husband and I went to the wedding together. So like we each got one. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, this is their monogram. This is very weird. Like,
don't put your wedding monogram on there.
Yeah. Unless it's my best friend or like my cousin, like a family member or something. Like if I'm just like +1 with my husband and to some coworker's wedding, like whatever, do whatever. But like, if it brings you joy for everyone to have your monogram, but they're probably going to throw it out. You probably shouldn't have spent the money.
Yes.
Right.
Or if you really want to do that thing, like, I don't know, like, beer koozies to me are just so over. But if you're doing
you give me so much anxiety, but if it brings you joy, I support it.
If there's a story tied between it for you guys, like you met over a beer koozie or, something cute, we get it. But like, if you're just doing because you think you have to do it, don't do it. The implications then for your relationship, if you're starting off your marriage in debt, it's going to take a toll and strain your relationship.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. I feel like when people are trying to overdo it, like when they can't get off the wagon, I'm like, and again, this has only happened with like friends and like people that are not like have these just dream budgets. And I'm just like, I'll sit with my friend and be like, are you sure you want to get married? Like you can. And I know this, like people think this is terrible, but I'm like, you can walk away. Like, why would you want to put yourself? And then if they're really thinking about it, I'm like, people sometimes put everything into the wedding and don't even think about the marriage after. Yeah. And they're just so focused on, and now, of course, going back to social media with just like all of the, I could go viral, I could have this, I could have that. And like, that's their focus and not like, oh, wait, I have like a partner that I have to have a relationship with forever when this
Yeah.
is over. Like, it's like pregnancy when people are like, oh, I just want to be pregnant. I'm like, there's a baby after. You're not going to be able to sleep. So make sure. And also, like, pregnancy is really hard. But anyway, I'm going off topic, but you know what
No,
I'm
but that's a
saying.
great comparison though, because you have these like lofty ideas, or you've dreamt about this your whole life, or you've seen these beautiful images, and we get it. Like, we're not judging you. We've been through it. We've
Yeah.
both been married before. We're trying to like give you the perspective that really take a step back and think about where that dollar is going, what's going to happen afterwards. I'm glad you said, like, you still have that marriage after. And this is where, like, premarital counseling is, like, really helpful in therapy.
Yeah. And just making people feel less alone. Because I think, like, there's too much of the fluffiness in the wedding industry of, like, everything's fine, everything's fabulous, everything's wonderful. And then, like, there's that one bride that's, like, and there's not to say, like, if you fight, like, John and I fought a lot, like the very final days leading up to the wedding. Like, I was on edge, but I'm like type A, obviously it's why I'm a planner. And like, I just was so obsessed with things being perfect. And this is always my rule of thumb. Like, when the day comes, if you're still like, cause we did a first look, but you can also see each other first at the ceremony. My rule of thumb is like, if you're still miserable, once you see each other and the ceremony's over, like, I was just like, I didn't care anything that happened after the ceremony was over. I was just so happy. If you're still obsessing over the details after the ceremony's over, just go get an annulment. Like, because it's not
about the marriage.
Gonna last. You should just be like floating through the rest of your day because you're so happy to be together. The ceremony happened. The ceremony was my favorite part of my wedding day. Like, there's so many, and this, I'm not comparing myself to other, like, the ceremony doesn't have to be your favorite, although it's the reason why everyone's there. Whatever. You shouldn't.
The whole vow thing.
Right. Based on just like 15 years of couples, and I've really not had, maybe like 0.1% I know that have gotten like separated. Most of my couples are together, still have been together. But that's like a red flag when you're still stressed after the ceremony and like obsessing over like, this chair is out of line. I'm like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
Or like, we need to go pull over, have a session.
You're seeking control because there's something else happening.
Something else is wrong. Yeah. And now you're stressed because you're like, shit, we're married.
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of stuff that people don't really, and we see it all the time. Right. So it's a different perspective.
It's easier to see when it's the outside looking in. When you're so in it, it's so hard to see it.
Yes. Yes.
So you brought up mom. Let's talk about the pressure of if the parents or a loved one is helping contribute or fully contributing to the wedding.
Okay. So this is a difficult one because I've been in both, I feel like 50-50 situations where like half of my couples, the parents are paying for everything and the other half, like the couple's paying for everything. When the couple is the one paying for everything, 9 out of 10 times, it's pretty easy to get through stuff. When the family is paying for everything, this is when I have to become a therapist and I have to sit and kind of like talk through everything. I like to think that I just have a good like aura about me and I'm very calm and level-headed. So I just try to, like talk. It's usually like mom and daughter. That's usually the thing. So I'll like ask the mom, like, what is tell me your dream list. I understand like the bride will be like, dream list, it's my wedding. I'm like, okay, let's just let her, what's your dream list? And then let her tell me like what her wishes are, what she wants to have. And then I talk to the bride, what's your dream for this? And then we have to just kind of like sit and compromise. And like, there has to be hard conversations. There's definitely nitpicking and battling along the way. But I feel like in those situations, I feel like I'm really promoting planners here, but like, we are great. So what are you going to do?
You do. You run interference. That alone.
Yes. You like need like there are so many couples that are like, oh my God, if we didn't have you, I have no idea how I would have gotten through that with my parents. Like, or I would have just folded and let them make all the decisions and I would have had nothing that like spoke to me. And I'm like, yeah, see, that's like terrible. Like, you can't, and I will tell the parents, I'll say, I understand you're contributing, but you can't just contribute so that you can have control. Like, that's not fair to do to anybody. You have to release the reins a little bit and let the two of them have stuff. Like, this is their day. Like, this is going to be a collaborative day, because especially if they're fully paying for everything. But I'm like, at the end of the day, you can't just sit there and be like, I have all the money, so I have all the control, because then this whole process is going to be miserable, truly, for everybody.
Yeah.
And then usually when I have that conversation with them, they're like, they ease up slightly, but it's a process. Like, it's a lot.
What's the most common thing that moms say is on their dream list?
Honestly, it's usually something silly, or it's honestly something that like I'll agree with, because I feel like I'm old on the inside. So I had like a mom that really wanted like monogrammed napkins for every place setting, but like the couple's monogram on it, because obviously like guests are not taking their napkins at the end of the day. And I was like, oh, okay. And the bride was like, I don't know if we really need that. Like, that's a lot of money just to have, like, we could just have regular napkins. And the mom was like, yes. But as you go on in your marriage, she was like, you're going to have a whole life after this wedding. You can use these napkins in your restrooms. You can use them when you host parties. You can use them for all the things that you do in your life. And I was like, okay, mom, let's spend that money. Sounds good to me. So it's like usually, yes, it's usually stuff like that, or they're thinking of more of like the long term, or something like, usually the moms are thinking of something more timeless or classic. And sometimes the brides are like, but that's not what I want. And I'm like, but let's just listen for a minute, because I usually am like with the mom on bringing something in that is going to be timeless forever, or like certain like champagne glasses. And they'll be like, oh, nobody does champagne flutes anymore. It's so cheesy. But the mom will pick out like these beautiful crystal with like the little monogram. I'm like, ooh, I think we need to do this. So it's usually stuff like that. I've never run into like a momzilla with like, she has to have this crazy dress, like nothing ever like that. It's usually the mom has like this very classic, timeless taste, and the bride like kind of does, but kind of doesn't, which is also why I feel like I fit good with those issues, because I'm like half and half. So I help with the balance of that.
With that, what do you think couples tend to want, but it ends up being the biggest waste of money?
Ooh, okay. So when I saw this, I thought I have the opposite here of the one thing that people wish they would have spent money on, or wish they would have done more research and invested better in, is photography and videography. Those will always, or like not having videography and only going with photography, those are always the regrets. Or hiring a photographer and maybe not doing enough research, or seeing what a full album looks like being delivered to another client and just going based on their following or their beautifully curated Instagram grid. And then you get your pictures back and you're like, what is this crap? This is not what I imagined. It's all you have at the end of the day. When it's over, you could have a lower budget wedding. You could be like, I can only do bud vases for flowers. I can't do big rentals. I have to have the basic package. You can go basic and affordable for everything. You should always invest in photo and video and content creation if you can, but especially photo and video, because that's the professional stuff. That's like, that across the board is the biggest regret if it's not done correctly, especially in my early days when I was doing like all month of and partial planning and all of that. And some of them had their vendors picked already. And I had a couple, and I tried talking. I said, I will pay you your deposit that you're going to lose from your photographer, just because that's how bad I think she's going to be. The couple decided to keep her, and it was their number one regret that they didn't listen to me. So you just everybody listening, don't mess up with photo and video. And also, don't just go with a photographer that's $100,000 because you're like, oh, that must mean that they're great. No, like, you have to do research, look at reviews. If you can see who past client, go to Reddit, see what everybody's saying about working with that person. Like, it's too important, because everything's broken down at the end of the day. Everything's donated or thrown away or packed back up, whatever it is. You only have those photos and videos when it's over. And if they're terrible, like, you just like threw all your money down the drain then.
Imagine a wedding day where each detail is already taken care of. allowing you to savor every moment. At Sandals, your dream wedding can finally become a reality. From intimate elopements to grand celebrations, Sandals offers customizable packages for every size and style. Plus, everything is included: your accommodations, gourmet dining, premium drinks, and all your wedding services. You get a dedicated wedding planner and an on-site team to manage everything from ceremony to reception. And here's a really sweet deal. Stay 7 nights or longer in a club or butler level room, and you'll receive their Sweetheart Wedding Package, completely on them. That means your ceremony, decor, and even a delicious 2-tier wedding cake. For those of you who really want to be sure, you can even test drive your wedding experience before you book it. Stop dreaming and start planning. Head over to sandals.com today or call 1-877-SANDALS to create your unforgettable wedding experience. When you're vetting a really good photographer and videographer for a couple, what do you look for? Like, what are your red flags, your green flags? How can we do a better job at vetting this vendor?
Okay, so I look strictly for consistency. Like, they know who they are. They're not one day doing moody and vibey and then the next day doing like light and airy. They are just like strictly light and airy. They are strictly moody and vibey. They are strictly like whatever the other categories are. And like it's still kind of a thing, like the motion, like the blurry pictures, like there were certain photographers that were trying to do that just so that they could attract younger couples. And I would tell, like, some of them I was friends with, and they would be like, "Oh, Michelle, I'm trying to get in front of, younger couples or like cooler couples, and this is what they want," and blah, blah. And I'm like, honestly, just like stay true to who you are, and your couples will find you. Because then the issue you run into is that the wrong people are finding you. And then they're actually not going to be happy with what you deliver because they saw that you did some cool, vibey image on your Instagram. They didn't do enough research. They book you, you deliver, you think you did great, and they hate it. And now, so just like consistency is always what I look for. If I get 3 albums that you've delivered to 3 different couples and they're a little bit all like, it doesn't look like the same photographer 3 times, bye, we're not hiring you.
And that's actually a really good point too. Wedding planners and venue coordinators, they all talk. Everyone talks in the industry. And if you're hearing, you just ask a vendor, like, right, just ask any vendor, but especially a wedding planner or a venue coordinator, because they have to work directly with photo and video all the time. Hey, what do you think of this person? Who do you recommend? Because that's another great way to kind of weed out who sucks.
Exactly. And we will, like, again, I'm honest to a fault. If this is our first time working together and it seems like things are going to be okay and you mess up, no, it's like if somebody, I'm very nice and I'm very level headed, but like if you mess up on a wedding day, I will like have your throat. Don't mess with my couples. Like, don't mess with my couples.
I love it. So something I really appreciate about your website, you do have your pricing on there. You have a starting off point.
Yes.
And not enough vendors do that. I'm sorry. Like, I know you can't put exact prices all the time because every wedding is going to vary depending on needs, expectations, locations, etc. But having I sound like Clueless. It's just a jumping off point to start negotiations.
Right, exactly.
Like for grades. But I think it's a good way to find who's going to be roughly in your budget to begin with, right? And then you're not wasting your time as the couple seeking out, and you're not wasting the vendor's time.
Okay. So I actually just had a video call with a videographer yesterday, and we were joking that we should have recorded it and that it should have been a podcast because we were talking about something very similar. So I started in the industry in 2011. I went on my little hiatus after the pandemic between like 2022 and like early this year. And then I came back into weddings and events this year. So I've just been like sitting on the sidelines, kind of just like watching everything implode. And everyone's just like, I don't know, like Gen Z is like blowing up the industry and there's no consistency with pricing and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just so funny because back between 2011 and 22, I used to always share my prices on my website. It was always a thing that I did in the early days, especially people used to give me so much crap about it. And they were like, you're so dumb for putting your prices on there because you're pigeonholing yourself. And now, what if somebody has a $50,000 budget? And I said, who's to say people aren't spending $50,000 with me? Like, they know where they have to start. And like, yes, if you fall within these parameters, your cost will be X. But we talk about all the things that could possibly take them to a different level, even throughout the process. Also, I have always, always, always done that so that when I sit down with the couple, they know exactly what they're getting, exactly what the cost is, what their expectations should be, and where the areas are where we may need to add a little bit more, or their budget might go up with me. Like adding on rehearsal dinner if they needed to plan and design it, adding on extra activities if it ends up becoming a weekend event, because a lot of these weddings became full service where they're just hiring me first and we don't know what's going to happen. Like it may be a destination in Paris that's 4 days long now. Okay, now you're going to have to pay me more money. But like
Right.
they know all of that. It's not like once we get there, I'm suddenly dropping on them like, well, invoice. And that's what our industry has been doing since the beginning of time.
Yep.
And it's just now with social media and Reddit and TikTok and everything. And bless Gen Z for not being afraid and coming out and saying, this person told me this person told me that. I understand the frustration of like, well, why is this planner 30,000 and this planner's 10,000 and this planner's 50,000? Like, that's confusing. That I think is just difficult. And I think it's just based on experience and also sometimes like us not pricing ourselves how we should be. Like for the longest time, I had couples at the end of their wedding, when I was charging 25,000 and no percent or just like 25 flat, every single one of those couples during that price bracket were like, you should charge double. You're too good. Like, I cannot believe everything you did for us. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And then I slowly built myself up. So sometimes that's just like our own,
Right.
like insecurity, like imposter syndrome and all that. And we're thinking, oh, 20K, that's what I should charge. No, like charge what you think you're worth. And I always tell couples, like, you'll know when you get on a phone call with a planner versus another planner. You'll also have to do research. Like I always give like referrals and past couples, and there's all sorts of things you can look at. But now I'm going off on a tangent. I was like, I don't even remember what the question was.
No, but about the pricing, but that all makes sense though.
Yeah.
And like to your point too, you made the comment in there about how you were green when you got started, right? So like maybe you only want to charge a certain amount because you're trying to build your client base, because it's not just the wedding day. You do a great job with that client, they're going to book you then for a future milestone, birthday, anniversary, tell other friends that are getting married, right? You're going to build that portfolio. And then there's other people like the super longevity luxury of like a Colin Cowie, Mindy Weiss that does like all the celebrities at this point, right? Or like $1 million Vogue weddings. But like there's different, I guess, levels as far as that goes. But like I do agree with you too that Gen Z really has changed the game, both weddings and in the workplace. Thank you for speaking up more to where our generation was afraid to speak up and we were threatened.
Because we're all scared. Exactly.
Yeah, our lives and jobs were threatened. So thank you for pushing back and saying, oh, fuck you. Like, I don't deserve this.
This was my other part of it is like, there are those people, and I tell couples this all the time. I'm like, you have to just be cautious because there are the people that purposely don't put their pricing out there because they just want to gauge, like, are you a doctor? Are you a lawyer? Are you in finance? And then they are basing their price off of what they think you can pay for, which is not okay at all. And then there's no consistency. And then guess what's happening? You're getting angry because people are talking about you on Reddit because you're charging this one 90K, you're charging this one 20K, and also like, what are you doing? And those businesses don't last. But it just drives me nuts to have even like people that are not trustworthy. Like even I was giving the example yesterday that like my husband and I, we were like, we're always just randomly shopping around, even though we still can't afford a house where I want to, because I want to stay in Brooklyn, but whatever.
Yeah.
But every time we meet with a real estate person, I just don't trust them. Like I always feel like they all just care about making the sale, care about getting that big commission. They kind of answer questions, but I don't even know if they're being honest. And I feel like that is what Gen Z couples feel like when they sit down with a planner. They're like, do I even need you? Are you telling me the truth? Are you just trying to get me to pay this big fee? And like, that is what somebody like me, who's honest to a fault, that's what annoys me, because it's like also those people that are willing to pay 5K to do full service, which is insane. You're also destroying our industry because you don't put your pricing up.
Yeah.
So maybe you're desperate for an inquiry and one finally comes in and they're like, I have 5K for a planner and I need full service. And you're like, okay, I guess I'll do it. And then you're like walking around like gloating that you got this wedding at the plaza. Meanwhile, like you're like burning out because you're not getting paid. And then now this is why the other people are out there like, well, this I paid, because they're going to go out on the public forum and say, I only paid 5K for full service in New York City. And someone like me is going to read it and be like, what?
At the plaza?
Who was that person? Right. Who was that person? Drop that person's name now, because nobody else should be hiring them, because they are just, I just can't. I could go on.
Well, with that, what's your take on pricing when like it's a starting out at this cost, or my pricing is 10% of total budget?
So this I'm also like testing too, because I've never done percent of budget because I feel like it causes stress. Like if I have like a flat fee, people are like, okay, I know what you're getting paid and that's it. If there's a percent, because there are definitely scenarios where I will push a couple to spend a little bit more, because I'm like, I know we have the budget here and I know what you want and I know what it's going to look like at the end. And this, you will not regret spending this money. I promise you. And if you do, just
like the videographer, for example,
come for me. Right. Like, I know this is what you want, or something with flowers. Like, I know you're going to want to spend this. When it's a percent, when it's a flat fee, they're like, okay, she's pushing us for the benefit of us. And she knows that this is going to benefit us. If I'm getting a percentage, they might sit there and think, oh, she's pushing us to spend more money because she gets more money. So I'm currently doing a base with a percentage, and I'm trying to see like what
like
works and what doesn't work. If you spend
over a certain amount, then my fee becomes this?
So like so basically like for full service right now, it's a $25,000 flat fee plus 10% of your total budget. And basically it just means like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like you may start out with a $300,000 budget and maybe we can do everything in that. Or you may end up spending like $800,000 and because people don't want to tell you off the bat what they are willing to spend because of the trust factor and all the issues in our industry. And that's how it has always been.
Yeah.
So, but then like if I'm dealing with an $800,000 wedding, that's a lot more details and vendors and things to oversee. So that's why the percentage, like that's why I understand why people do percentages. So I'm kind of testing it out. And again, I think like being very honest and transparent with couples, it like helps them understand the structure of things. So it can definitely be done in a very fair way, as long as you are genuine and honest and you're not really pushing your couple to spend because you know you're going to get more. I think my couples know at the end of the day, like I have to make a living. Right. I have a child, I have a family. Like this is how I make my living. But at the end of the day, I'm not a greedy person. And I think my couples know that I'm genuine, and that when we make decisions or if I'm pushing in a direction or not, they know it's for the benefit of them. And I'm not even thinking about like if I can make more money here, make more money there.
We opened up about social media, and I want to touch upon this before we start wrapping up, because I literally could just talk to you all day long. So FOMO is real, right? And you see all these images and you're in the planning process and you have a realistic budget and you have a dream. And so what's your advice for couples that are dealing with FOMO, whether it be a little pinch of it or full on dread because they can't get everything that they want?
Piece of advice that I give to all my couples all the time, whether they have these dream budgets that are like $1 million or just under $1 million, or maybe they are trying to really like stay in this like 300 to 400K range, which this sounds insane. I didn't spend that much money on my wedding, but what if?
You are in New York City though.
Exactly. I always, and I know that this is not an easy thing to do, but I tell them to like detox from social media. So if they're really starting to get down, or I can sense, especially once we figured out the details, the design, and we're like really running with it. If they give me a couple things here and there, when we're like 2 to 3 months out, I will highly encourage them to just like delete the apps. Like your account, just delete the app. Your account still exists. And only if you really need it. If you find yourself like in an unhealthy mental state and you're feeling like, oh my God, like you're getting depressed about your wedding because you're seeing like something that an influencer did, or you're seeing something that a celebrity did, like things that are like not, we don't all have a $50 million wedding budget.
Right.
Like it's, so it's always, because I even like, if I start getting overwhelmed, I always go back to the baby stuff. Like when I was pregnant in the pandemic, which was like the worst possible time. But there, the algorithm knows you. And so I kept getting content about not getting an epidural and all the side effects to an epidural. And like, I'm going to become paralyzed and you're not going to be able to walk and all these insane things. And I was like, oh my God. And my doctor was like, Michelle, if you could just from now until the baby comes, get off social media, that would be incredible. And that's exactly what I did. And I was so happy and on top of the world. And I did the epidural and everything was fine. And my son will be 5 in December.
Aww.
And my life is normal. So, but every human has different experiences from the next, whether
Yeah.
it's babies, weddings, funerals, grief, all of the things. So it's like we absorb too much on a daily basis, whether it's weddings or crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just always the best thing once you start feeling, if you are starting to feel sad because you're like, oh, I can't afford doves flying out of the box in the middle, like get off
Yeah.
social media, just delete it, get away from it. You don't need it, detox.
It's an
And then when
addiction,
you
just like alcohol and drugs.
exactly. And then when you come back, you're just sharing all the stuff about your wedding. You're just happy about your wedding. Like, just don't, just that's my best advice for that. Like to completely shut it off.
Do you think that the rise of micro weddings and elopements, destinations, second weddings, do you think it's like a pushback or a pendulum swing against the too much wedding?
I think so. So I think the one thing that I do love is that I'm noticing a trend of like either destination, which they're always smaller, or like a micro wedding. Like people are like, I just want like my 50 closest family and friends. Like I don't care to invite this aunt or cousin or whoever that I haven't seen or spoken to in years. And I think it's an amazing and incredible way to get all those amazing wow and details that you really, really, really want within your budget too. Because instead of having, 300 people and now you're at a banquet hall on Long Island, you're keeping it much more intimate, which no offense, like if that's what you want, if that brings you joy, I'm going back to that. If that brings you joy, great. But if you just really want like the intimate settings, my best friend got married in Mexico and I want to say there was like 20 people in total. Again, she's my best friend. I've known her since I was 12. So of course I had the best time, but it was like probably one of the best weddings I'd ever been to because everybody got to talk to each other. Everybody, like, even if there was somebody that I didn't really know, like I didn't really know her now husband's like family.
Yeah.
So like got to chat with like his mom and stuff. Like it's just a different experience when things are intimate and you can actually enjoy the day. Again, it's not for everybody, but I think it's like I like the trend. I hope it doesn't stay a trend. I hope it just like remains a thing so that people don't feel this obligation to like, but my friend did a huge 300%. Like, no, just do the small thing if that's what you want.
Yeah, and the thing is, it can work with any budget. If you have a small budget, you can still have this wonderful time. If you have a big budget, you can do a little bit more elevated and extra for your close loved ones, right? Like you really have some flexibility there. And I've said this before, like it started really with COVID with micro weddings, right? But introverts, you win. Like this is amazing. Like this is great. You don't have to have the full showy thing. You're safe.
And you don't have to feel awkward or anything. And all of the things. Like I think it should be more about, and that's always my driving force is like, what do you want? What's going to make you happy? that those weddings are easier when the couple is paying themselves.
Yeah.
If parents are involved, that's a little bit of a battle. But yeah.
Any final piece of advice for couples when they're feeling like it's just becoming too much or they're feeling tempted to do more than they need to?
I just think like I always just go back to like the same advice. If something is going to exponentially take you out of, but like you have to think of your life after the wedding is over. Don't make sure you're not doing something strictly for social media. Make sure you're doing it for yourself. Make sure you're saying that, like my lounge, like
Yeah.
I needed that lounge. I had to have it. So make sure you're actually really making decisions that are going to reflect who you are as a couple. Like there's so like, again, we are absorbing so much content and seeing so many ideas and inspiration. It's just like, as long as you hone in on the two of you and like what represents the two of you, then nothing else really matters. And nothing should be causing you, like, I want people to feel like you are normal. If you get stressed, if you get anxiety, if you get into an argument with your family, argument with your partner, all these things are normal. This doesn't mean you're doomed. But it's more of like, if it's a consistent, like at each other's throats over like something that's not that serious, then you should probably just not even have it. Or also think about like, oh, if I don't have XYZ thing, am I going to look back and regret not having that? And like really sit with it to see if it's something that you really will regret, or maybe you're just doing it for social media, which just don't ever do anything for social media.
The word that comes to mind as you're saying this is intention.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Right? Like go into it with intention. I love this. So it's time for the fuck it bucket, Michelle. What is in your wedding fuck it bucket?
Okay, so this basically means like what I don't enjoy, like a mason jar.
Your personal opinion. Yeah.
Okay. And I think just because like I'm a planner, so I had to like do so many things with mason jars.
2011.
So yeah.
Burlap, mason jars in a barn.
Burlap and mason jars. You're definitely getting married in a barn. We all know it.
It was beautiful.
Mason jars were at everything. Like they were at all the things. Like you couldn't go to a celebration without a mason jar. But you know what? Listen, if you want a mason jar at your wedding, I think like it's becoming a mom that has like changed my perception on things. Like I used to be a little bit more of like, do not do a garter toss. Now I'm like, I don't love it. But if you want to do it, I'm not going to talk somebody out of something. So if this couple has always dreamt, if this bride was like, I've always dreamt of having the garter and doing the whole thing, and go ahead and do it. Like, don't let anybody stop you. If you want mason jars everywhere and burlap, I'm rooting for you. Do it.
But
I'm not going to like it. I'm going to be like, I'm not sure about this. But.
Aside from mason jars and garter toss, because I think garter toss is in most people's, not everyone. I had like one person on the show that was for it. He's also a dude. But but what else would you put in it personally?
Yes. Okay. So bouquet tossing, I feel like I'm kind of okay with, because usually the couple, like the bride just throws it and there's no garter in connection. It's just like throw the bouquet and like grandma will catch it. So it's like cute and funny. I think like, oh yeah, and like no one should be smashing cake. That's like a definite. I feel like there was like a scientific study shown that like you're definitely getting divorced if like your partner shoves cake in your face. Like what?
Have any of your couples tried doing it in the last few years?
No, I have never had anybody smash cake in their significant other's face.
Good.
Ever.
That's why all your couples are still married.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, this is why people are long lasting. No cake smashing. Don't do it. Or anything that's just like cheesy. Scavenger hunt stuff. Like, I don't know. I get like, there are certain points where I'm like, I get it. You know, you're going to have your guests that are like the wallflower that like doesn't want to dance. Get a lounge.
Get the $1,000 lounge.
I'm just promoting lounges. Well, it's going to be more than $1,000.
Hey, that's true. But that is a nice way for the non-dancers.
Yeah, like don't give me, it's very like kids' birthday party. If I have to like find things and then I get a prize at the end, or like take pictures, like here, scan this QR code and like take pictures of stuff for us. Like very odd, but if it brings you joy. Great. Great. Okay.
What about like the games? Like when they have the bride and the groom wear, like take each other's shoe and like
Yes.
that game.
So
Is that part of your
I'm
cheese
okay.
package?
I'm okay with that at like the bridal shower. If you're like pausing the wedding to like take shoes off and do a whole thing, I'm bored. Like, what are we doing? I don't know. And it's also, you have to consider your audience because if you're having like that 300-person wedding where half the room like knows each other, the other half doesn't, if you do something so personal and intimate, it's like really awkward. And, or some people just genuinely don't care. Again, like I use the example if it's like my husband's coworker and I'm obviously just there as his plus one. Cool. I don't know. I mean, I'm a planner, so I look forward to like the maid of honor and best man speeches, like always. And when they flop, I'm like, I get so disappointed, but it's fine. But I don't know. I feel like if you want to do something, some little cheesy game thing, that has to be like at a shower. It can't be at a wedding. Although, like, I'll jump on a conga line. Like, you know what? just,
I do love a good
just
conga
join
line.
in on the chaos,
Yeah.
you know?
I love it. Final question. What is your all-time favorite celebrity or royal wedding?
Yes. Okay. So this one's like, I don't think it's out of left field, but it might be for some people. So I think like the anticipation is that I would say something about like Paris Hilton or like Sophia Richie or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. No, Jackie O's wedding is like the epitome of timeless and classic. That wedding was in the 50s, 1953. I think I was like looking it up yesterday to
Yeah.
see like what year it was even in. If you Google Jackie O's wedding and you look just at images, if that wedding happened today, it would be so perfect and beautiful and stunning. Like, and you can't say that about weddings even in the early 2000s. And
Yeah.
there are certain things that are just done. And there were other weddings that happened in the 50s, but like her little gloves and the table set they had, even her cake, the plates at her table, her dress, like everything you could recreate her wedding today and people would be like, oh my God, and copying stuff from it, which is kind of incredible.
Yeah. That's a great one. No one's brought that wedding up yet on the show.
And it's very like elegant. It's like elevated, elegant, but it's not like over the top. Like it's so beautiful, but it looks like it could be $1 million wedding today. Because I'm sure back in the 50s it was like not. But yeah, and that's the thing. Like it's not this like annoying, like we're just showing you
Yeah.
how much money we have. Like no one cares.
It's
I
quiet
don't, at
luxury.
least. That's exactly correct. That is what I love.
It's so opposite of if you look at her 1960s, late 60s dress when she married Aristotle Onassis. Very late 60s, the mini dress and the
Yes,
headpiece. It's
yes,
like total opposite of the JFK
yes,
New England rich money wedding.
yes, like the old money. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Michelle, how can we get more information on you and your company?
Okay, so you can go to Instagram at Michelle Elaine, or you can go to my website, which is just michelle-elaine.com, and you can just see all the fabulous, wonderful things.
Michelle, thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you soon.
Oh my God, thank you for having me. This is so fun.